Not even 5 seconds into this fight and I'm already like, what the f? Spoiler, I'm pretty sure Ahsoka was match fixing in this fight. She opts to use one saber and she's not even holding it like she always had. I know she's been holding it in standard grip the whole show so far, but I'm calling it out now. Why? That's such a massive change. Anakin tried so hard to get her to stop using reverse grip, as even in Star Wars it's suboptimal to do. You sacrifice a lot of strength in both your attacks and defense, and in return you get little to nothing. Ahsoka having the build that she doesn't have a massive amount of physical strength to begin with. So further sacrificing the little that she does have put her at risk of being ragdolled in every single exchange against a stronger opponent. Old habits die hard, however, and Ahsoka remains steadfast in her stubbornness, rejecting Anakin's plea as the reverse grip was her preference and is what she felt most comfortable with using. This is a big part of why she had 2 lightsabers in the first place. Since she was so stubborn about using it, Anakin came up with the idea to add a second saber, allowing her to double down on her strengths of agility and dexterity, outmaneuvering and overwhelming her opponents with her superior movement and output capabilities. The additional saber also helped her block blaster fire. But since she was so stubborn to the point where Anakin had to abandon the idea of getting her to give up on the reverse grip, it's mind-boggling to see her just casually using standard grip now. You can even see in Rebels, which takes place pretty close to the time of this show, that she's still using reverse grip against even opponents like Vader. I just can't believe that she would randomly stop doing so here, but I digress. Going back to the fight, Ahsoka is using one saber. Why? Who knows? She seems to be doing quite a few random out of the blue things at the moment, but what I thought was interesting again though is similar to the Shin bout, Baylan does not engage the fight. It's Ahsoka who both ignites her lightsaber first and makes the first move. This will be important in a bit, but Ahsoka doesn't commit to anything here, and she's more so just testing Baylan, feeling out her opponent. But at the end of this little exchange, Baylan actually knocks Ahsoka back with a heavy blow as they clash blades, immediately establishing that he is the physically stronger of the two of them. When you try to parry and block these heavy blows from someone much stronger than you are, you may avoid fatal damage, but the impact taxes your arms heavily. It's a good way to get tired quickly and therefore make more mistakes. So Ahsoka's adaptation is not to play into this losing game and instead lean into her more iconic Ataru style. The fourth form of lightsaber combat, and the one that emphasizes utilizing agility and dexterity to outmaneuver your opponent. She dodges Baylan's slash and draws him in, making him whiff, and beautifully in the same sequence leverages the environment to push off and almost claim his head right there. Honestly, the duel could have ended right here against lesser opponents, but to Baylan's credit, he does manage to react very quickly and get his head out of the way. In the vein of Ataru's aggression, Ahsoka presses the assault and tries to capitalize on Baylan's bad positioning. However, to her dismay, he recovers in time to defend and re-establishes his base. Now, at this point, it's already pretty telling that Baylan is a more traditional Djem-so user. All the characteristics of Form 5 are there. Solid defense with leveraging strength-based offense and counterattacks. So, we can now see where Shin got the form from, learning it from her master. Unlike his apprentice, though, funny enough, Baylan has not seemed to address the form's weaknesses of lacking mobility. You can see throughout this entire fight that his movements are quite heavy and rooted. Just look at how he defends in this sequence. There's no real attempt to evade and create distance. He simply stands his ground in the pocket and stonewalls Ahsoka out, catching her in a blade lock as soon as he is able to. Here you can really see the immense strength difference between the two of them. Now, here's where Ahsoka makes her first of many mistakes by throwing out this senseless slash. This attack is honestly devoid of all sentience. Literally everything that she had learned from the duel so far went completely out the window. From the opening exchange and that blade lock even, she already knows that Baylan is the much stronger of the two of them. It was different when his posture was bad and he was scrambling to recover. In that instance, all he can do is block. But now we are back in the neutral and Baylan can properly receive Ahsoka's strikes and punish her, as seen in the opening exchange. She should know that she cannot win by going blow to blow with Baylan. So why invite that type of exchange with such a reckless swing in the neutral? Her path to victory is through using her agility to exploit the very clear lack of mobility. That is Djem-so's weakness, and she is fully capable of capitalizing on that. That is how she fights. That is always how she has fought. But here she has seemingly forgotten that, and to no one's surprise is punished. Baylan effortlessly avoids the lazy ill-advised slash and then batters her with one of his heavy blows. With Ahsoka knocked back, inclined classic Djem-so style, Baylan pushes his advantage with a sequence of heavy strength-based attacks. I want to point out here that while Ahsoka was on the back foot, she did have an opportunity to escape this sequence. Instead of moving back, she could have dodged to the side as she did earlier, or even used the backwards momentum to spring herself on top of the pillar, taking the high ground, if you will. But instead, she decides to needlessly ego the exchange by taking Baylan's heavy strike straight on, willingly up her arms and taxing her stamina. If Anakin was watching this from the great beyond, I'm sure he would have to up some younglings to alleviate the frustration. So now at this point, Ahsoka is in a horrible position. Once again, I want to point out that she has been in worse positions before and managed to gracefully outmaneuver her opponent to come out ahead. But in theme with her performance so far in this fight, of course she does not do that and instead is pinned against the wall by Baylan. Now, one thing I will give her credit for is that she does catch the blade in a manner where she can slide it off. If she had caught it normally like Sabine did in that first duel against Shin, for example, Baylan would have used his far superior strength to drive the blades into her and end this duel here. Now, when we come back to the duel, it seems Ahsoka has finally regained use of her brain, ending this needless ego exchange with Baylan in the pocket and creating distance, once again leveraging the environment to increase the power of her own strikes and force Baylan onto the back foot. However, just like last time, she overstays her welcome and continues engaging when Baylan has already re-established his base. It's just not the right game plan. Where is the exceptional footwork and movement that she had refined for her entire life up until this point? Instead, she continues to engage in the exact type of fight that Baylan wants. And again, for doing that, she gets knocked back. Now, luckily for Ahsoka, Baylan decides to launch a rocket her instead of pressing the assault like he did before. Maybe it's a sign of him fatiguing, or perhaps he wanted to just further drain her stamina, as this is a relatively low effort thing for him to do. Now, it's here where we finally see Ahsoka go back to the reverse grip. Now, don't be fooled. Effectively, this only worsens her situation if she continues to fight in the way that she has thus far, as using reverse grip greatly limits the amount of strength you can output, meaning she'll go from barely being able to block Baylan's blows to just straight up being ragdolled. However, this grip switch actually turned out to be finally a switch in mindset from Ahsoka. Now finally we get to see a bit of footwork come out, attacking from different angles and poking holes in Baylan's defense. Still not as much as she's capable of, but at least now she's on the right track. Sadly, she doesn't commit to this role as her focus seems to have turned from winning the duel to trying to retrieve the map. I do get it in the sense that time is running out. Every second that this duel prolongs is another second that the map data is being uploaded to the hyperspace starship. But that being said, the way that she chooses to go for the map is very greedy in my opinion. She doesn't create space between herself and Baylan at all. The whole time he's still right on top of her, so she risked losing her arm twice by prematurely going for the map, eventually even being grabbed and thrown by Baylan, making it clear that if she wants this map, she's going to have to work for it. Now, when we come back to the fight, it seems as if Baylan closed the distance and again is attempting to pin Ahsoka against the wall. Again, if he successfully gets this blade lock, it's a win-win situation for Baylan. Either he drives the sabers into Ahsoka and potentially removes her head, or he will significantly drain her stamina as she tries to desperately defend against that happening, which is exceptionally bad for somebody who relies on their agility and maneuverability to win fights. Despite that, however, Ahsoka again resigns herself to accepting the blade lock, unable even to catch it in a manner where she can slide it off like the last time. She does, however, have the cognizance to receive the blade lock by positioning her leg on the stone monument. This limits her ability to escape more traditionally, but that is not her plan. By doing this, she is able to close the gap in strength between them by leveraging the force in her legs to push off the stone monument and knock Baylan back, putting Ahsoka in advantage for the first time in a while in this duel, and she does not miss the chance to capitalize, immediately following up with her trademark kicks and staggering Baylan, knocking him on his ass and finally creating a chance for her to get the map. This is an absolute classic in her arsenal, and also something that Anakin is a big fan of utilizing, like master, like apprentice. Now, sadly, here is where I'm going to have to complain again. Yes, this is a chance to grab the map, and I understand that that is important, but by doing that, you give Baylan the chance to recover, and he's obviously just not going to let you walk away with the map. She's going to have to engage him again to escape, and thus far she's been struggling a lot with the way that she's been been fighting him. Here you have Baylan sprawled on the floor reeling while he tries to recover. Why not take the extra 2 or 3 seconds it would take to quickly follow up and kick him one final time to the temple or chin while he's down, knocking him out and therefore eliminating him as a problem. Or while he's reeling like this, it's even a window for you to use the Force and throw him into the ocean. In either case, it wouldn't take that long and would now allow her to grab the map without any consequences after. But I guess if Ahsoka had the intelligence to do either of those things, she wouldn't have fought Baylan in the manner that she has for most of the duel to this point. And as if to further emphasize her deteriorating brain cells, she lacks the cognizance to do even something children know, which is not to continue to touch things that are hot. Seriously, she holds onto this thing for like 10 seconds, just letting it burn away at her palm before she finally lets it go. Is this some kind of new fetish she's into or what? Just drop the map and pick it up with the Force? I don't understand why she keeps holding it.
That was unwise.
I fully agree with you here, mate, and it doesn't get much better. As from this point, it just seems like Ahsoka has given up, if I'm being honest. Yes, I get that your hand hurts, but come on! This is a fight! You can't wilt at the first sign of adversity, but wilt is what she does, as she doesn't really attempt to dodge or get out of the way of any of these strikes, just lazily blocks all but one of them and allows Baylan to ragdoll her into the corner. We get a pause in the fighting where we see Ahsoka slam Shin into the pillar with the Force. This is actually a bit surprising, as in Star Wars you can't normally just use the Force to ragdoll someone like this if they are of similar level in the Force to you. Usually you would have to break someone's concentration first by staggering them or something like this to get their guard down. But Ahsoka just straight up raw dog Shin here, showing us that while skilled, Shin is still a novice in the Force compared to Ahsoka. Also again, it brings up the question of why Ahsoka didn't do this with Baylan when she had the chance to, but I digress. We get back to the duel and it's just more of the same. Ahsoka puts up minimum level of resistance against Baylan, getting knocked further into the corner as Baylan just fully abuses his strength-based attacks of Djem-so. They get into one final blade lock and now it is checkmate. Ahsoka is completely f***ed her. She has no control over the situation. At the edge of the cliff, there is nowhere for her to escape to and nothing for her to leverage against to make up the strength difference between them. Baylan is a professional golfer and Ahsoka is the ball next to the hole. All he has to do is putt it in. So now we get probably one of the greatest moments of comedy in this entire episode so far. Don't get me wrong, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. I have a poster of Revenge of the Sith on my wall, but nonetheless I actually laughed out loud at this next scene.
Stop!
Are you serious? What? You see your master in an awful position, literally on the edge of death, and your first position is not to shoot the motherfucker doing it, but instead to alert him to your presence? What? Baylan is completely entangled with Ahsoka here. There is literally no way for him to defend if she just shoots him in the back, but instead she literally just watches as he batters Ahsoka off the cliff face. What? I have no words. Even watching this now, it's breaking my brain. Like, damn, I knew you had your issues with Ahsoka, Sabine, but I didn't know it was like that. My lord. So yeah, in conclusion, I don't really know how I feel about this duel. I just do not agree at all with Ahsoka's approach to the fight. From the opening exchanges of the fight, her win condition was already very clear. Exploit Baylan's somewhat sluggish mobility with her far superior movement, attacking from different angles and finding a hole in his defense. Yes, you can say that she lost to Vader by fighting this way, but the problem there was not in her approach. Vader was just better. Fundamentally, being someone of Ahsoka's build, she's always going to have a disadvantage in the strength department in most cases. So if she tries to match these kind of opponents by fighting in a more static, honest fashion per se, she will lose. There's no point in trying to be someone you're not and ending up as a worse version of your opponent. If you want to fight in a more grounded, straightforward way like this, then you have to lean into insane footwork and precision to overcome that natural weakness. In other words, becoming a master of Makashi. But I would argue that that's a waste of time, as even the greatest Makashi user of all time, Dooku, lost to Anakin, as being pressured by someone skilled in strength-based attacks is is Makashi's weakness. In the end, it's better to double down on your natural strengths by pushing the maneuvering and dynamic blade work of Ataru to its fullest. You can make the age excuse if you want, but it just doesn't hold weight. Look at Yoda. Even in the prequels, that dude is past his prime, and yet he is still the definitive example of an Ataru user. If he fought against Vader, I honestly have a hard time imagining Vader winning, showing us that it's not the approach that's the problem. It's simply a skill issue. When the Force is your ally, you can achieve many great things, but it starts with believing that it's possible.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope I didn't come off too rambly. I just get really passionate about nerdy stuff like this. What did you guys think of the duel? I'm interested to hear your takes on it and on the Ahsoka show in general, so be sure to leave them in the comments down below. And if this video gets to 100 likes, I will break down the second duel between Shin and Sabine. And also, please do not forget to subscribe. I am on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year, as that is one of the goals I set for myself at the beginning of 2023. So, with that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.